Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, friends. Today, we would like to share you our presentation with the topic Register Analysis of the Industrial Revolution text. Member of the group, Dilla, Hafidz, Okti, Alga, Nadya, and me, Hana. There are 4 of content we would like to share you today. The first one is the text, field, tenor, and the last one is mode. The text we choose is city form. Basically, the text tells us about the increasing of people, especially public figure awareness that show their concern about the city planning and public health. Next one is field. The field of discourse refers to the topic which describes the activities of or processes that happen in the text. Nadya will explain the next presentation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So my name is Nadya, Zahra, Nurul, Dini, and I would like to continue the explanations about field from Hana. It is clear in the text city form, we can see the process which discusses about the increasing of people, especially the public figures' awareness, that show their concern about city planning and public health. They are also preparing their own proposals of ideas which leads into how cities have developed. So here I would like to give one of the evidence that we took from the text in the sentence, Ebenezer Howard and Arturo Soria Yamata advocated proposals for garden cities with green belts and the linear city respectively. So Ebenezer Howard and Arturo Soria Yamata here acts as the first participant, or in this case the actor, and the word advocated here represents the process, in this case the material process, or the process that we know is done through a physical activity. And then the third, the proposals for garden cities with green belts and the linear city represents the second participant, or in this sentence the goal. And then the last, respectively, represents the circumstance, and in this case the circumstance of manner. As we may have known before, there are several types of circumstances, including the circumstance of manner, the circumstance of time or spatial, and so on. And the circumstance of manner itself explains about how the thing is done. So here, respectively, the word respectively explains on how the thing is done in this sentence. And we move on to the next example that we took from the text. So the next sentence is like this. Le Corbusier offered his version of a city with a large skyscraper surrounded by open space. Le Corbusier here acts as the first participant, or the actor, while the word offered acts as the process, and in this case, the same as the previous sentence, the material process. And his version of a city with a large skyscraper acts as the second participant, in this case as the goal, and then surrounded by open space here represents the circumstance, in this case circumstance of spatial here because it is related with a place or a space. Next, we move on to tenor. So, what's tenor? The tenor of discourse refers to the role relationship between the participants. As we may have noticed before, in a sentence there may be more than one participant, the one that acts as the actor, the one that acts as the goal, or it may depends on the context of the sentence itself. And this text, the city form text, can be considered as a non-interactive text. Why? Because the written text is directly explained to the public. When analyzing a non-interactive text for its tenor, we need to find the personality of the author in the text.
Okay, so in tenor we have impersonalization, standing and stance. The first one is impersonalization. So Impersonalized texts are creating a feeling of objectivity and getting away from personal perspectives. In this text, there are non-personal pronouns such as I, he, or she, even pronoun you that refer to the audience. Moreover, the author also shows the objectiveness of the text. For example, in this city form text, the first one is Frank Lloyd Wright spoke against dense urban environment. Then the structure and pattern of a city's growth have been examined. Next, a concentric zone model was proposed by Burgess. The second one is standing. Standing tells us about how much of a claim the author relates to expertise and authority by providing information of a factual event from the text. For example, the structure and pattern of a city's growth have been examined by a number of scholars. Then, a number of ideas about city form have surfaced over the years. So these two sentences from the city form text. The last one is stance. Stance is the part where the author seemingly allows you to argue with the content, to agree or to disagree. Stance is further subdivided into attitude and modality. So in attitude, the attitude is where the text tells you whether positive, negative, or neutral meanings are expressed. Attitude can be more or less explicit and therefore more or less easy to detect. So there are asserted attitude, assumed attitude, and trigger attitude. The first one is asserted attitudes. This is the attitude which are mentioned quite openly. A typical reader is aware of them and is free to disagree with them. For example, from the city form text is the ideas were applauded by some and ridiculed by others. Next, we have assumed attitude. This is the attitude which are mentioned as if they were truths accepted by everyone on which another argument can be built. For example, in the city form text, come to the role of government will be greatly reduced under his proposed scheme. The readers will feel less free to disagree with assumed attitude, like what I said before. The last one is trigger attitude, that not mentioned at all, but the typical reader will imply them.
For example, even though Fred's father is very old, Fred only visits him once a year. This triggers a negative attitude to Fred, even though the facts that Fred's father is old and that Fred visits him once a year are objective facts. The syntax employed, even though blah 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 only, encourages a typical reader to imply from the facts a negative attitude to Fred. In this text also have two statements. The first is the negative statement and the second is the positive statement. In the negative statement, Frank Lloyd Wright spoke against dense urban environments. Under his broader city proposal, each citizen would be provided with a minimum of 1 acre, each with access to transportation linking people together. And the positive statement is, ultimately, these ideas and the others provided fruitful discussion on the future form of cities. The ideas were applauded by some and ridiculed by others. Nevertheless, these views and proposals created even more discussion on the need to reorganize the urban form. The next part is agency and effectiveness. The main idea of agency and effectiveness analysis is when a certain event is constructed with a certain attitude by the text. Then the participant who made the most agency in the event also tend to be viewed with the same attitude by a typical reader. In other words, the attitude of a process rubs off onto the agent, as in under his broad acre city proposal, its citizens would be provided with a minimum of 1 acre each with access to transportation linking people together, and the role of government would be greatly reduced under his proposal scheme, and the ideas were applauded by some and ridiculed by others. We can see from these 3 points of city form text refers to citizens. Citizens is the agent here, entities who are often presented as affected in material process can potentially be a victims and attract sympathy. Since right statement in the text is debatable for the citizens.
E. Modality. The modality of the text is an aggregate of various meanings relating to permission, ability, obligation, necessity, violation, and prediction. Modality is usually expressed by modal verbs. There are 9 of these in English: can, could, may, might, shall, should, would, will, and must. The second one is semi-modals. For example, had better, have got to, ought to, be supposed to, and be going to. And the last one is various lexical word classes expressing modality. For example, the verbs need to, be obligated to, and the adjective is definite and possible. And the nouns are certainty and likelihood. Epistemic modality. Epistemic modality of a text tells you that likelihood that the experiential content is true or believed by the author to be. The first one is will. It is certainty or strong epistemic modality. The second one is would. Would is probability based on hypothetical condition. The third one is must. It is deduced to be very certain. The fourth one is may, might, could. This is possibility or weak epistemic modality. And the last one is modal adverbs. It is strong epistemic modality. For example, definitely, and the weak one is possibly. For example is government would be greatly reduced under his purpose scheme. The use of would here is probability based on a hypothetical condition. The author gives their experience content low epistemic modality may appear as open to negotiation.
Mode. Mode of discourse refers to how language is being used, whether the channel of communication is spoken or written, or language is being used as a mode of action or reflections. Mode from the text the city form can be examined as a scientific exposition text in which discussing about city planning and the influencers' proposal ideas to make it happen and made in written language is used as a reflection instead of action, since the text is reporting the event that has happened that doesn't show any spontaneity without any direct conversation, as we explained in the impersonalization section above. And from the situational context, the situational context is based on register analysis. In this tag, we can see that the field of this tag about the ideas of city planning. Furthermore, the tenor is impersonalization based on factual data, which provided in the text, with a slight of negative point of view where the citizen considered as the agent, and also based on hypothetical condition. Lastly, the mode of the text can be identified as a written channel in the form of scientific exposition text. Whereas from the cultural context, the purpose of this tag is to give an information about a phenomenon as well as to persuade the reader about the idea which is important matter. In exposition, participants are mostly actor, process are usually material, doing, happening, and with some relation being and existential existing. The verbs are mostly in past tense. Thank you. That's all from our group. Thank you for your attention.